Brick by brick, this mansion was built to keep the living out and the dead in. Within its walls, secrets breathe and shadows speak. Welcome to Haunted Mansion Stories. Every mansion has secrets. This one whispers them in the dark. Listen to the secrets only if you dare.
The sun was bleeding into the horizon when I first saw Hawthorne Manor. The house rose out of the earth like a wound, its roof jagged, its walls strangled by ivy, its windows dark and hollow. The gate behind me had swung shut with a metallic groan, and for one long, uneasy moment, I swear I felt as if the house had drawn me in, caging me inside its breath. I told myself I came here out of curiosity. That was a lie. It was something deeper, something I couldn't name, an itch in the back of my skull, pulling me toward this place. Everyone in town knew the stories. How the Hawthorns vanished in the middle of a storm, leaving a feast half-eaten on the dining table, doors locked from within. No bodies were ever found. Some said murder. Some whispered witchcraft. Others swore the devil himself had taken them. Whatever it was, it left the house to rot. And I came anyway. My hand pressed against the swollen wood of the door, and it groaned open. The sound carried through the vast dark halls, and the stench of mildew and old stone rushed out to meet me. Dust stirred in the beam of dying sunlight that fell across the threshold. I stepped inside. The door slammed shut behind me so violently that I flinched. My heart thudded. The air was thick, stale, as if no one had drawn breath here in decades. My footsteps echoed on the warped floorboards. The grand staircase ahead twisted upward, its railing carved with figures so grotesque I had to look away. They seemed to grin at me with teeth too sharp, too human. Just an old house, I muttered under my breath. But my voice sounded wrong, too small, swallowed up before it reached the ceiling. I wandered through double doors into what must have once been a parlor. White sheets sagged over furniture, their shapes too human-like in the gloom. A blackened fireplace sat cold beneath a portrait of the Hawthorne family. Their painted eyes glistened in the last light, and no matter where I moved, I felt them following me. And then it came. A whisper. So faint I almost thought it was my own mind betraying me. Help us. I froze. The air around me dropped 10 degrees. Who's there? I whispered back, my throat tightening. The silence pressed against me. Then, from the corner by the fireplace, a figure stepped forward. She was young, her gown tattered, her skin pale as candle wax. Her hair clung to her face in damp curls, and her eyes, oh God, her eyes were bottomless pools of sorrow. She wasn't solid. Her body shimmered faintly, flickering at the edges like smoke. I am Eliza Hawthorne, she said, her voice no louder than the rustle of dead leaves. My knees nearly buckled. You're a ghost. Her head tilted, the faintest trace of a smile that never reached her eyes. We are trapped here. Bound by our regrets. Bound by betrayal. Every nerve in my body screamed at me to run. But something else kept me rooted, something that had carried me to this house in the first place. My curiosity, the same damned thing that always got me into trouble. What do you want from me? I asked, though I dreaded the answer. You must uncover the truth of our disappearance. She lifted her hand, pointing to the portrait above the mantel. Her arm passed through the air like drifting mist. Only then can we find peace. I inched closer to the portrait, my pulse hammering. The frame was layered with grime, the canvas brittle. The longer I looked at it, the more the family's eyes seemed alive, as if daring me to look deeper. And then it happened. The world tilted. My vision blurred. The floor fell away beneath me. I was no longer in the parlor. I was standing in a grand dining hall, the air thick with candle smoke. Thunder rattled the windows. Around the table sat the Hawthorne family, alive, laughing, their voices loud over the roar of the storm. A flash of lightning illuminated a hand, trembling, slipping something dark into a glass of wine. A scream ripped through the vision, so sharp it pierced my skull. And then I was back in the parlor, gasping, my hands clawing at the air to steady myself. Eliza was gone. Only the portrait remained, its painted smiles now looking more like snarls. I wasn't alone in this house. And I wasn't sure I wanted to know what else waited for me.
I didn't believe in ghosts. Never had, never would. The stories about Hawthorne Manor were just that, stories. A bunch of nonsense people told to scare each other over beers. Which was exactly why I agreed when my friends dared me to spend a night here. Easy money, I'd said, even though no one was actually paying me. Just bragging rights. I brought nothing but a flashlight and a pack of smokes. I didn't need holy water or crucifixes or whatever crap ghost hunters used. It was just an old house, after all. Also, I thought. The second I stepped inside, something felt off. Like the air was thicker, pressing down on my chest. The floor groaned under my boots, the sound echoing too loud, like the house was listening. I played it cool, though. Even whistled a tune, though it cracked halfway out of my throat. This is it? This is what everyone's scared of. I muttered, shining my flashlight down a hallway. Dust floated in the beam, but otherwise, the place was dead quiet. I made my way into what looked like a library. Shelves stretched to the ceiling, most of the books eaten by mold and time. I kicked at a broken chair and laughed. Haunted, my ass. That's when my flashlight flickered. Once. Twice. Then died. Shit. I smacked it against my palm, but it stayed dark. And the room wasn't silent anymore. I heard it, breathing. Not mine. Slow, ragged, coming from the far corner. Okay, funny, I called out, my voice not nearly as steady as I wanted it to be. Who's there? Greg? Jake? You assholes think you're funny, sneaking in behind me. No answer. Just that breathing. Then, soft sobbing. I froze. It was low, broken, like someone crying into their hands. My throat went dry. Who's there? Something moved in the shadows. A figure stepped forward, and my stomach dropped. It wasn't one of my friends. He was tall, dressed in an old suit that looked more like a shroud now. His eyes were sunken hollows, black and endless, his face locked in a sorrow so deep it made my skin crawl. I am Thomas Hawthorne, the man whispered. His voice sounded like wind rattling through a coffin. I stumbled back until my shoulders hit a shelf. Jesus Christ. We are trapped here, he went on, bound by our past. My hands trembled. What do you want from me? Unravel the truth, Thomas said, stepping closer, his shadow stretching long across the rotting floor. Only then can we be free. Before I could respond, a sharp knock echoed through the room. I spun toward the sound. The far wall was lined with bookcases, but one was slightly ajar, revealing the outline of a hidden door. 3 deliberate raps came again, knock, 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 from the other side. My blood turned to ice. And then, a whisper, closer than it should have been, slipping right into my ear. Let me out.
I felt it before I even saw the house. Most places, when you walk up to them, carry a kind of residue, warmth from laughter, tension from old arguments, even joy that lingers like perfume. But Hawthorne Manor was different. Its energy wasn't just heavy, it was suffocating. The moment I set foot on the path, it wrapped around me like a shroud. The house didn't want me here, but the dead inside, they did. I pushed open the doors, whispering a protection prayer under my breath. My bag clinked softly with the charms I carried: salt, a candle, a small iron knife. Tools. Wards. My companions when stepping into the dark. The foyer greeted me like a gaping mouth. A grand staircase stretched up into shadows, the banister carved into twisted shapes I didn't dare examine too closely. My chest tightened as I inhaled stale air, mildew, and something sharper, like copper on my tongue. Blood. Old, but still here. I closed my eyes and let myself open. The way I always do. A shiver ran down my spine as the world bent and shifted. Voices. Laughter. The clink of cutlery. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't in the foyer anymore. I was standing in a dining hall lit by candlelight. The storm raged outside the windows, thunder rattling the silverware. At the table sat the Hawthorne family, alive, smiling through their unease. Their faces were pale, strained. I could feel the tension rippling under their polite conversation. And then, movement. A hand, trembling, slipped a dark liquid into a wine glass. My heart stopped. I tried to speak, to warn them, but no sound came from my throat. I was only a witness. The laughter faltered. Someone coughed. Then another. The candles flickered violently, shadows stretching long and jagged across the walls. The family's faces twisted into horror as they clutched their throats, choking, gasping. I wanted to look away, but the vision held me prisoner. The storm howled. The lights went out. And then the shadows moved. They weren't just tricks of the candlelight anymore. They circled the table, tall and writhing, bending over each family member as they fell. Something old, something hungry, had come to claim them. And then I felt it, cold fingers brushing my shoulder. I turned, and nearly screamed. A faceless figure loomed behind me, its head bent low, sniffing at my hair. Its hand tightened on me, possessive. I tore myself out of the vision with a gasp, stumbling backward. My knees buckled, and I landed hard on the parlor floor. My candle toppled and rolled, sputtering out. Tears blurred my eyes. My skin burned where that thing had touched me, a cold ache spreading into my chest. A voice echoed in my mind, sharp and sorrowful. We were betrayed. Help us find justice. I wiped my face with shaking hands, forcing myself upright. This wasn't just a haunting. It was a trap. The Hawthorns hadn't simply died here. They'd been consumed. And if I wasn't careful, I would be too.
I have stood here longer than their bones have rotted. Longer than the ivy that claws at my skin, longer than the dust that thickens my lungs. I am not wood and stone, I am hunger. I am memory. I remember laughter once. The Hawthorns filled me with it, spilling wine across my tables, pressing music into my rafters. I drank their joy and it made me strong. But joy never lasts. Not here. Betrayal seeped into my foundations the night the storm came. I felt it, the whisper of poison poured into glass, the heartbeat quickening with guilt, the screams as one by one they fell. The shadows came then, older than I am, and I welcomed them. They sank into my walls, my floors, my beams, and I learned to breathe with their darkness. Now I keep the Hawthorns. They do not rot, they do not leave. They wander my halls as whispers, as fragments, as things that still think themselves human. They belong to me. And now, others have come. The girl, Clara, her fear sharp and sweet. She touched my portrait and I let her taste the past. She thinks she is strong, but her curiosity will undo her. I will swallow her slowly. The boy, Marcus, loud with bravado, stinking of arrogance. He walks my halls like he owns them, yet I've already taken his light. He heard the knocking. Soon, he will knock too. And the woman, Lila, she knows me. She opened herself to me the moment she stepped inside. She touched the wand I carry, and the shadows touched her in return. She thinks herself powerful, but she is nothing more than a vessel waiting to be filled. I bend my bones around them. My doors close where none should. My stairways stretch too long, so their legs ache with fear. I lead them where I wish, and they follow, believing choice is theirs. They will not leave. They will eat at my table, just as the hawthorns did. They will drink from my glasses. And they will join the feast of whispers I keep in my walls. For I am Hawthorn Manor, and I do not let go. I don't know how long I wandered after the vision. The manor makes time slippery. Every corridor felt the same, every doorway led me back to myself. Still, I pressed forward, gripping the banister to keep from floating apart. That's when I found it, an old diary lying half buried beneath a broken chair in the upstairs hall. The leather was cracked, the pages swollen with damp, but the name etched inside was still legible. Eliza Hawthorne. My hands shook as I turned the pages. The ink was blurred in places, but fragments remained. The storm grows worse each day. Father says we must keep the truth hidden. I hear Thomas and Mother whispering at night. I fear what they plot. The last line chilled me. Tonight, it ends. A board groaned behind me. I spun, certain someone was there. But the hallway was empty. Still, I felt it, that crawling sensation of eyes on my back. Marcus. The knocking hadn't stopped. It came again as I pushed deeper into the study, knock, 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 from the hidden door behind the bookcase. Jesus Christ, I muttered, trying to laugh it off, but my voice cracked. I pressed my ear to the wood. The cold leached into my skull. And then, clear as day, a voice hissed from the other side. Marcus. I stumbled back, hitting a desk. My name. It had said my name. The flashlight flickered once, and in that brief flash of light, I saw something carved into the desk. Words scratched deep into the wood with frantic hands. The wine will kill us all. My stomach dropped. I remember the sobbing figure, Thomas. His words, unravel the truth. Was this it? Poison? Murder? Before I could think, the bookcase rattled violently, the hidden door bulging outward, as if something inside was trying to crawl free. I ran. Lila? The touch of that shadow still burned on my skin. My wards felt fragile, like paper shields in a fire. But I couldn't stop. The spirits needed me. In the music room, I lit my candle again, setting it in the center of a cracked piano. I closed my eyes and opened myself. At once, Eliza's pain surged into me, her fear, her desperation. I saw her kneeling in her bedroom, scribbling into her diary. Heard her whispering, "They will betray us. They will end us all." Then came another presence, Thomas. His anger was heavier, suffocating. He pressed images into me, a hand pouring wine, a toast, laughter turning to choking. My body shuddered. Too much, too fast. And then, something new. Not Eliza. Not Thomas. Something older. The house itself. Drink, it whispered, curling in my skull. Drink and stay forever. I tore myself away, gasping, blood dripping from my nose. The candle guttered, the flame stretching tall like a grin. They begin to see. The girl with the diary, the boy with the desk, the woman with the visions. They gather threads of truth, but the tapestry is mine to weave. And tonight, as the storm returns, I will bind them as I bound the hawthorns. They think they uncover me, but I am the one uncovering them. The diary trembled in my hands as the first roll of thunder shook the house. I flinched, almost dropping it, the words blurring as the candlelight guttered. Outside, the storm had returned, the same storm Eliza wrote of. The glass in the windows rattled, the wind screaming down the chimney like voices that had been waiting centuries to be heard. I clutched the diary against my chest and whispered, "I won't let you be forgotten." But even as I said it, the hallway around me stretched, bending, twisting. Doors shifted further away, the wallpaper peeling into faces. One of them moved, its lips parting, mouthing something soundless. And then I realized it wasn't mouthing. It was whispering. "Drink. Drink. Drink." The storm boomed again, rattling the very bones of the manor, and every face on the wall turned toward me at once. "Marcus!" I slammed the study door shut behind me, heart hammering, sweat soaking my shirt. The knocking hadn't followed yet, but something worse had. The house was different now. The hall stretched longer, impossibly long, lined with windows that showed not the storm outside, but a dining room. A grand one, filled with a banquet untouched by time. Candles burned there, flames swaying with no wind. Crystal glasses brimming with dark red wine. Plates of roasted meat, steaming though no one sat at the table. I blinked, staring through the glass, when suddenly, movement. The chairs pulled themselves back. Invisible hands lifted glasses. The faint clinking of a toast echoed through the hall. Then one chair turned. Slowly. Deliberately. Facing me. I ran, but every window I passed showed the same room, over and over, closer each time. "Lila?" The storm answered my chants. I felt it in the marrow of my bones, the veil thinning, the hawthorns pressing closer. "Eliza!" I called, voice raw. "Show me how it ended. Let me see." For a moment, only silence. Then, flood. The dining room. Laughter turned screams. A father clutching his throat. A mother's glass shattering. Children crying as crimson spilled down their chins. It wasn't a family meal. It was a slaughter. And in the chaos, one figure rose above the others. Thomas. Smiling. Watching them fall one by one. But something caught my eye, behind him, in the shadows of the dining room, a presence darker than murder. A shape that bent the air. That fed. The house itself drinking them. I gasped, clutching my chest, as the lightning struck outside. The window beside me cracked, spider webbing across. And in the reflection, I saw not myself, but Eliza. Her mouth moved in the glass, her eyes wide, pleading. "Don't let it happen again." Yes. The storm returns because I call it. The storm is my breath, my voice, my herald. They scurry inside me now, like mice in walls they cannot escape. The girl with the diary, the boy with the banquet, the woman with the visions. All pieces. All threads of the same feast. The wine is poured. The glasses are waiting. The table is set once more. And tonight, they will drink. The diary led me. or maybe the whispers did. Either way, I found myself standing before a heavy oak door. My hand trembled as I reached for the handle, my breath fogging in the chill air. The storm howled behind me, yet inside the door came a sound softer, more terrible. The clinking of glasses. I pushed the door open. The dining room glowed with candlelight, impossibly alive, as though no time had passed. A long table stretched before me, lined with silverware and steaming plates. The smell of roasted meat and spiced wine filled the air, making my stomach twist with hunger and dread. And there at the head of the table sat Eliza. Her eyes found mine, hollow and shining. "You came," she whispered. "Now you must eat." "Marcus." I didn't mean to walk in. My legs carried me here before I realized, as though the hallways themselves pushed me forward. The dining room. The same one I'd seen through the windows. But this time, no glass between me and it. I froze. At the far end of the table sat Clara, pale and trembling, her hand hovering near a glass. Lila stood across from her, eyes shut tight, lips moving soundlessly. And around us, chairs shifting, silverware rising, unseen hands setting the scene. Every seat was filled, though by no one I could see. The air bent where they sat, outlines of the hawthorn shimmering like heat waves. My throat went dry. "This isn't real," I muttered. "This isn't." A goblet rose into the air beside me and pressed itself into my hand. The wine inside rippled. Waiting. "Lila?" "No," I whispered, but the room did not listen. I felt the pull, the ritual returning to life, the manner demanding its play be performed again. The hawthorns flickered into form, ghostly but solid enough. I saw the father coughing blood, the mother clutching her pearls, the children weeping into their plates. And Thomas, always Thomas, raising his glass in a toast that doomed them all. The house wanted us to sit in their places. To finish what they started. "Don't drink," I cried, voice breaking. "It feeds on it, it feeds on you." Clara looked at me, her hand still hovering over her glass. Marcus's eyes darted to his goblet, fear warring with disbelief. And then, one by one, the specters turned to us. The hawthorns' faces sharpened, no longer blurred. Their eyes were empty, but their mouths smiled. "Join us," they whispered in one voice. "Eat. Drink. Be ours. The manna. Yes. Sit. Taste. Become. The table is full again. The seats are warm. The blood will flow as it did before, and I will drink with them. The storm rages outside, but here in my heart, the feast begins anew. And this time, none of them will leave my table."
Leave now, but beware. The mansion remembers those who enter, and it will call you back. You've walked the halls, heard the voices, and felt the chill. The story ends for now, but don't forget to like and subscribe because the mansion waits. Always.